Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about how I started out in nursing school and how I ended up graduating from business school. Let's check it out. So to start all the way from the beginning, when I was a senior in high school, I decided to go do some volunteer hours at my local hospital. I was placed in the NICU and I just fell in love with the NICU from day one, and I said I want to be in medicine, I want to work in medicine, and my goal was actually to become a physician's assistant, which is also known as a PA. I had a friend who was a PA and I just really loved his schedule and I loved all the things he got to do. So I had said I'm going to go to PA school. And at that time, I wanted to go to Charles R. Drew, which is right next to the old Martin Luther King Hospital. If you're from LA, you would know. So I graduated high school. I started my first semester at college, at Santa Monica College, and then I find out that Charles R. Drew is closing down. It's closing down and I felt like my life had shut down. There were other PA schools around, like Western University in Pomona, but it was just too far away and I didn't want to commute that far. The other ones were even further away and they were super expensive, and I came from a family who, my parents are not well off. They did okay, but they were not able to help me financially to go to college or to pay for college. So I didn't want to take off all these loans. So time went by and I just took my classes, took my science classes, and then I looked at all my prereqs and I saw that, I could go into nursing school. It was not my first choice, but I had just put in so much work and I didn't want to waste any more time. It's just something about me that did not want to waste time, and I had no patience, and I just decided that I'm going to go to nursing school. So I go ahead and continue taking all my science classes, all these prerequisites that I need to get into a nursing school. And I really wanted to go to a community college because it was cheaper and there were a lot of more options around me. So as time came by and it got closer for me to apply to nursing school, this is when that big recession kind of had hit, like 2008, 2009, 2010, and everyone had gone back to school. A lot of people were trying to go into nursing because nursing pays well. That's not the reason why I went into nursing school, but a lot of people that were my classmates, they were going back to school because they said nursing pays well. So it's time for me to apply to all these different nursing programs, only to see that there's all these wait lists. 2 years, 3 years. If it's not a wait list, it's a lottery. So you could go years and years without your name pulled from the bag. So I kind of just was getting tired of waiting around. I was 23, 22 at this time, and I learned about West Coast University. So I kind of started looking into it, and I saw that they don't require for you to take the TEAS test. It was a different exam that you could take, and so I was really excited about that. Somehow I just was let me go, let me see what they're gonna say, let me see how much it's gonna cost, let me take the test and see where I end up. So I go ahead and I take the entrance exam, I pass the entrance exam, and then I sit down with the financial counselor and they tell me, because you have all these prereqs, it's not going to take you so long to start the program, maybe just one term, and then you would go ahead and start the nursing program. So you would start the nursing program and you won't only get your RN degree, but you would also get your bachelor's degree. So I was okay, that's nice. How much is it going to cost me? So they said you would only have to pull out $54,000. So, I went back and forth and I decided, I looked at how much it was going to cost for RN, and then I was definitely going to go back and get my bachelor's degree, and I knew that was going to cost on top of it. So I thought about it and I said, I could get both RN and BSN right over here at West Coast University, pay $54,000, I'll be out the door, and then I'll just pay them back as I start working as a nurse. So I decided to sign the paperwork and start West Coast University. I went to the one in North Hollywood. If you're from California, they have a lot of different locations spread out the state. So I decided to go there, and I started. I was very excited, and then during that first term and second term, I was going to start the nursing program on my third term. So those first 2 terms, I was just taking these couple of classes that I hadn't taken at the community college. It's getting closer for me to start the nursing program, and my dad starts getting really sick. Like, he starts going to the hospital pretty frequently, and he's someone who doesn't speak English very well and easily frustrated, and he's a difficult patient when he's in the hospital. He won't listen to anyone, and I'm kind of like the only one who could get through to him. So he was going in and out of the hospital, but at the same time I was working full-time in the NICU, 32 hours a week. But I had opportunities where I could take off a shift or two during the week, so it wasn't like a full 32. So I start the program, I finish the first term, which is Fundamentals of Nursing, and then I go on to the second term, which is, I remember it was Intro to Med-Surg, and then I finished that. I do Psych. Psych is where he started really to struggle, and there was something going on with him and we couldn't figure out what. He kept having shortness of breath, and he's someone who has his health history, like he has had open heart surgery, he's diabetic, high blood pressure, everything you could think about under the sun. So I finally get to start intermediate Med-Surg in combination with nutrition. Those were 2 classes I had during that term. I start the term, and one day, and I will never forget this day. One day he calls me because I wasn't home, and he says, I really don't feel good. I really want to go to the hospital. And he's someone who never tells me or never will even say, I want to go to the hospital. So when he told me that, I was like, oh crap, this is not good. So I take him to a hospital that he's been going to frequently, and they have all his records. He's in the ER, and his sats are not great. So his heart rate's not great. His respiratory rate was not that great, and that's the one that was concerning the ER doctor the most, because they're giving him oxygen, they have the face mask on, and his oxygen stats are not coming up. Me and my mom, we had gone to the ER, we had taken him to the hospital, and so the doctor pulls my mom and me aside and says, you know, I really want to talk to you two. And I was like, okay. He said he doesn't look too good. He said, I want you guys to start thinking about the possibility of intubating him. And I just kind of want you guys to prepare yourself for anything that could happen. So when he told us that, it felt like the entire world was falling apart, because I know what that means. That means he's not doing too well. I don't have high hopes for him. I don't know if he's gonna make it out of the hospital. So I kind of know what that means, and my mom doesn't. So, and he doesn't. And this is why personnel and people who work in the hospital, they don't like for the relatives to translate, because sometimes the news is bad and they know the relatives won't tell the complete truth to the patient or their loved ones. And I wasn't a translator at that moment. He was just having a conversation with us, but I did not want to tell my mom and my dad everything that I had just understood. So long behold, his stats weren't doing great, and they didn't do, they put a CPAP on him. They didn't end up intubating him, because I knew that's something my dad did not want. He did not want to ever be intubated. But he ended up being transferred to the ICU. And that week was just kind of like everything falling apart, with exams, with clinicals, going to the hospital, working. Like, I would get off work at midnight, go see him in the ICU for a little bit, come home, sleep for a few hours, get up, go to nursing school, and then repeat all over again. Like, and honestly, I know some people who are probably watching this, they're probably like, you know, that's why they tell you shouldn't work when you're in nursing school. I get that. But I'm going to tell you this, working was like a motivation for me. It was a boost for me, because every time I went into work, it reminded me of, this is what I'm working for. This is going to be me this is going to be me one day, and I'm almost there. I felt like, because I was working the NICU, I felt like I was doing this for my NICU babies, and I was fighting for them, and I wasn't going to give up. It was a motivation for me, and I will disagree. For me, my situation, work was never an issue for me. Actually, my managers were very flexible with my schedule. If I needed some time off, they were giving it to me, and they were accommodating for me because they knew I was in nursing school. So work was never an issue. For me, and I won't call it an issue, but I will call it a bump. It was all the stress of my dad, because I knew he wasn't doing too well. I didn't know if he was going to ever make it out of the ICU. It was just a lot. So what ended up happening is, long story short, I didn't make it through that term. I failed out of both classes, and it's not like I failed out by so many points. Honestly, I was off by 2 to 3 points. That's it. And they told me, we're sorry, we're going to have to let you go. I was devastated because he was still in the hospital. I was devastated. West Coast University, I don't know if they still have this, but they have an appeal process. So if you wanted to appeal their decision, you were able to. And it was kind of like building a case for yourself. So I went to the hospital. I went to his doctors. I got all these records. I got all these letters, even from instructors saying that, she has been going through, has been having family difficulties. Like, she has been his primary caregiver. This is true. Her father was hospitalized from this point to this time. He was under my care from this date to this date. Like, I had everything, and I went and I turned it in, and I even told them that my brother was going to step in. He was going to help take care of my dad so that I could focus more on school and succeeding in the program. So I turned that in, and time went by, and I don't know if it was an email or a letter in the mail, but they got back to me and they told me that my appeal was denied, that they still are going to stick to their decision of letting me go from the program. And it was devastating. That day, I felt like every part of my life was falling apart. I felt like a failure. I felt like I had let my patients down in the NICU, even though they're not my patients, but it's my department. But I was a hot mess. I remember my friends coming and picking me up because I just was torn apart. I mean, it was really devastating. It's so many years ago. So much time has passed, but I could tell you for those first 3 years, I was very hard on myself. I cried a lot. I felt like a failure. I felt all these negative emotions about myself. But, people who knew me and friends who knew me and colleagues and coworkers who knew me, they said, Mary, we know it has, and I know this now, but it had nothing to do with my knowledge. It had nothing to do with, was I capable enough of going through nursing school? Hell yes, I was capable and am capable of going through nursing school now if I decided. It's just I had unfortunate life events happen. It was my father. I didn't know if he was going to make it. So do I regret my decisions of not spending enough time that week or two studying? Hell no, because you know what? My family was important to me, and I did not know if I was losing that man or not. And if he was dying, I wanted to make sure I was there with him. That I was not absent during his last moments. I did not know. No one knew. It was all up to him and just kind of taking it day by day. And if you're in medicine, you know this. Like, you just, with your patients, you take them day by day. They could take a step forward one day and then they'll take 4 steps back the next day. So it's just, I don't regret any of my decisions. Things happened the way they happened. But, when I failed out of the program, my family, my friends, they were like, don't even go to school or continue going to school, because I wanted to continue school. They were like, you have a great job. It pays well. Like, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But for me, I said that's not enough. I worked too damn hard to get to where I had reached. from staying up to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, studying, putting projects together, writing papers. Like, I had done so much. I had put so much work into it. I was not going to give up. I deserve it. I owe it to myself to graduate from a school and to get a degree. So it was at that point where I just kind of like looked at all my other skills, everything else that I kind of am good at, and pretty much the classes that I've taken. Like, what can I do with my skills, everything I'm good at, combined with everything I've taken? I knew I wanted to stay in medicine. That was one thing for sure I knew. So I did some research, and then I came to a conclusion and a decision of going to business school. Major in business administration with a focus of management. So I looked around, and I again looked at to see what's the closest school, and the closest school to me was Cal State LA. So I went, I applied, I got accepted, and I started. Honestly, it was such a great experience for me. I met a lot of intelligent and skilled professors. Like, I really enjoy speaking to my professors and picking their brain, because you, number one, are networking. Number one, you're learning from someone who's been doing this for so many years. So I had really great experiences with some great instructors, and I really enjoyed the experience of being at a school like that. I made some great friends that I still am friends with right now. So I ended up graduating from Cal State LA in 2018 of August. I actually got to walk down in May, and it was a great experience. Kind of how I ended up from nursing school to business school. Currently, I'm still working in the hospital. I'm working as a unit manager at the OBGYN clinic. So I'm really, really enjoying this experience. I'm learning so much, and I feel like, honestly, even though I didn't graduate from nursing school and I didn't become an RN, I still have the experience. I still have the experience of taking care of patients, from being in clinicals and from seeing how things work from being a bedside nurse's perspective. And I take that and I combine it with, being in an administrative role. And when it comes to decisions, honestly, like, I look at looking at both the bedside nursing perspective and the business side. And I base my decision off of that. I don't try to favor one or the other, because I understand both, because I have been on both sides. And if anything, that's the biggest thing I gained from going to nursing school, even though I didn't graduate. But that's the biggest thing I gained, was that experience, that knowledge, that understanding of how it works from their side of the point, from their perspective, and the struggles they have. I totally understand what nurses, RTs, everyone who works bedside, I completely understand their struggles, the short staff, the long hours, sometimes patient interactions. I completely get it. And I didn't graduate from, I didn't graduate from the school and the program. Unfortunately, I did get stuck with the loans. So I'm stuck paying those off right now, and I'm gonna tell you, it's definitely a lot more than that $54,000 I initially withdrew from Sallie Mae, which that's a different story for another time. But it's fine. I really believe in myself, and I know I'm going to achieve, and financially I'm going to get there, and my goal ultimately is to pay off that loan ASAP, and I'm going to do it. I'm figuring out how. Definitely want to leave you with this, like, so many of us go to graduate from high school not knowing where we want to go. But even if we do know where we want to go, life throws like a curveball in our way, and what we thought or where we thought we were going to go doesn't work out, and we end up taking a detour to a different place. It's okay. At that moment, it's completely understandable that you're going to be upset, you're going to be bummed, but you have to trust that process, and you have to trust the universe with what it's doing and where it's taking you, because where you think was the right place for you to go might have not been. And honestly, looking back now, as much as I would have loved being bedside and taking care of patients, I know I wouldn't have lasted as a bedside nurse. I know I would have wanted to go into administration because of my organization skills, my creative skills, and me wanting to help and grow, practice and learn new things. I know I wouldn't have honestly lasted as a bedside nurse. So everything happens for a reason. I truly believe it. But that was my experience. If you are going for nursing school, great, good luck. Remember to do it because you want to take care of patients and not for the paycheck that you're going to get. And if you're going to business school, great. Learn as much as you can. Become a sponge, talk to your professors, pick their brains because they've done this, they own businesses, they're consultants. So whatever path you decide to go and take, best of luck to you. Push forward. Honestly, enjoy the process. Don't be like me who wanted to rush and not be patient. And that's like my word of the year for 2020 is patience. Be patient, enjoy the process, experience the process and the journey, and you're just gonna kick ass. So yeah, that's all. That's my best advice for you. But if you guys enjoyed this video and you want me to make more videos about my experiences, hit like and subscribe down below. Comment down below. I love talking to my followers and getting to know them. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.